Welcome back to Sports Geek on One Africa Radio TV with Sbonelo Ngcobo and Johannes Peta. At the summit, on today's episode, we start with the breaking news that have just come from the CAF headquarters out in Egypt, Cairo to be exact, regarding the Africa Cup of Nations 2026, stripping off the current champions, Senegal, and hand the crown over to the host and the finalist in the form and shape of Morocco. And then we'll look at the Betway Premiership. The race continues between the Mamelodi Sundowns and the Orlando Pirates. We'll also zoom in to English Premier League, so as Europa Champions League, where we saw the English clubs redeeming themselves a little bit as compared to what went down last week. It was a very, very catastrophic indeed in as far as the English clubs are concerned, where they found the going very, very tough in as far as the Champions League is concerned. We'll also zoom into La Liga, that is the Spanish football league, and a little bit of Serie A, that is the Italian football. In cricket, the most overweighted tour of the Proteas out to New Zealand finally got underway on Sunday, and this is very, very historic as we get to see both the male and female Proteas invading New Zealand. And then in rugby, La Bleu, Viva France, they were crowned the defending champions. Yet again, they defended their trophy with so much ease this previous weekend. And then we look at Voda Community Rugby Championship as it takes a full return. If time permits, we'll also zoom into motor racing. There is a Formula One. I believe this previous race was held out in China. It was a China GP. I believe the next one is a Japan GP. But there are interesting news in as far as China GP is concerned. Without any further ado, Modiba, let's cut down to the chase. Breaking news, disappointing news, depending which side of the fence that you are in. 2026 Africa Cup of Nations, 2026 Africa Cup of Nations champions, Senegal, the Lions of Taranga. We woke up to the news that they have been stripped their crown and been handed over to the host and the finalist, Morocco, plus the 3 points cushion. What is your take in as far as those breaking news are concerned?
On that note, let me greet you and our lovely viewers out there. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our wonderful podcast. So from that incident, we all know that Senegal were crowned champions.
Yes.
But despite the chaotic behavior by the very same Senegalese who left the pitch while the game was about to end, when the referee there awarded a penalty.
Yes.
So that's where they were unhappy because of at some point they scored a goal. The goal was disallowed during the match.
Senegal,
exactly, yes. So then they left the pitch. Then after leaving the pitch, they influenced also by their coach Peta, whom Sadio Mane, I still remember him recalling the players back from the tunnel to go back into the pitch because the game hasn't ended. Fortunately, when they came back, Pape Gueye scored a crack of a goal where as the game ended, they were crowned champions. Suddenly, because the final took place on the 18th of January. 2 months later, we just had the news that they've been stripped off the title. Then the title will go to the host Morocco, of which, why do you have to wait for 2 months? Yes, I could understand the fact that, but according to the rules, players are not supposed to leave the pitch where the game is not finished. As we've seen in some of the instances that even if there are some bit of robbing with regard to playing some ineligible players, the other team will be awarded 3 points and also 3 goals, which is the case currently. The very same Morocco are experiencing. They are getting the 3-0 victory and also the medals as well as the trophy. So it's a complication for me to say, why do they have to wait for 3 months, of which we saw Nasri, the name there, Samir Nasri, who was the man who stripped off the very same Senegal the title. So I don't know, but I also heard that Senegal Club Federation will definitely appeal.
Surely, Senegal, they have to appeal this decision. Let's just go back to the events that unfolded in that final. I don't know whether I didn't have enough time to do my verification, but as far as I'm concerned, I believe there is a duration that a team is allowed to walk off. As long as that time, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it is 12 minutes. You can walk off as long as you come back you finish your protest within 12 minutes.
Yes.
You will, anything above that 12 minutes, you automatically forfeit the match and it's given to the other team. And I believe Sadio Mane managed to convince his teammates to get back to the pitch within that specified time frame. Hence, the referee on the day did not forfeit, did not call for the match that it's over and give the match to Morocco, because Senegal, as far as I'm concerned, they came back within that specified time as per CAF rules. You can stage your protest and whatsoever as long as you are within 12 minutes. The moment the 12 minutes is up, it's game over. And as far as I'm concerned, Senegal, they met that requirement of coming back within that specified 12 minutes. The referee allowed the game to proceed. The game ended as per referee. So now my question is, what happens to referee's decision is final? Because the referee the referee had the powers to call the match off, obvious with the match official and all of that. But they did not call the match off because Senegal, they were still within that specified time.
Yeah, it's so complicated. It's something we've never seen before here in AFCON and here in South Africa. So
In Africa at large, yes.
Africa at large as well, because it was almost 15 minutes, like rightfully mentioned. So the referee, as you has mentioned, this final decision, it should be.
So it's not, that does not apply anymore.
Does not
Referee's
apply
decision
anymore.
is final. That's thrown out of the window now.
Then suddenly 2 months later, we just said this. So how will it put the image of African football? So which concerns me so much.
Still with this issue, about a month ago, we remember that Morocco, they are scheduled to host the WAFCON, which is the Women Africa Cup of Nations, I believe, for the third time running. Because of that incident, in Morocco losing that final against Senegal, they threw tantrums and they said, because CAF doesn't award or doesn't hand over the AFCON to them, they don't want to host the WAFCON anymore. Hence, South Africa put their hand up, Deputy Minister and the Minister of Sports and Culture. They said, okay, Morocco, if you continue throwing your tantrums and try to hold AFCON at ransom, because AFCON does not, CAF does not want to hand the crown to you. We as South Africa, we are ready to host WAFCON. Chiki chiki, CAF hand the trophy to Morocco. Won't that be seen as CAF succumbing to the pressure, to be held at ransom by Morocco?
It's very complicated because the very same WAFCON, Morocco withdrew from that WAFCON. At the very same time, South Africa were
put their hand up
as the host. I think this month later on, which might be starting next weekend. So very, very complicated. We also had the news that their head coach, Walid Regragui, has also resigned. So of which there are so many question marks today. Is he coming to South Africa to coach some of the big teams there, Kaizer Chiefs being another rumor there? So too many complications as far as Morocco is concerned. But then I don't know how will they resolve this matter. Because of they withdrew, now Morocco have been given the title. So what's going to happen? Or hopefully the WAFCON one will proceed despite Morocco withdrew, but they're still part of the WAFCON by the looks of things.
If one were to say CAF, in this instance, they lacked backbone, they could not stand their ground, they succumbed to Morocco's blackmail or pressure or being held at ransom, what would you say to them?
Yeah, the issue of backbone, I will understand. So why do they have to take drastic decisions way, way late? They should have immediately, a week after the final has taken place, then decided, let's reconsider the situation and look those parts where led to Senegal leaving the pitch, and then let's apply the rules ASAP. So, but then it's been the issue with this CAF, they always delay matters. I can give a typical example of, you remember Kaizer Chiefs, where one of the players, Adrari Manana, left the club, went on to join Black Leopards. There were fines where Kaizer Chiefs had to be disqualified from signing players in preparation to the new season for two transfer windows, of which for Chiefs to appeal, they had to delay for about 2 months as well. So something we've seen before with CAF, but then on this issue of Senegal and Morocco, I think they delayed the match.
I didn't get the last part.
On this issue of Senegal and Morocco, I think they made a blunder by delaying the match. So that's where it shows they really don't have a backbone.
Oh yes, indeed. That's how things look like. Looks like CAF this time around. They definitely succumb to Morocco's pressure. Still with the Africa Cup of Nations, let's just look at the tournament itself holistically. The issues of racism, where straight after that AFCON final, where Senegal won on the night, we saw Moroccan fans. Chanting racism, things throwing the banana peels and all those things, making all those monkey noises, referring to black Senegal players that they are the monkeys and everything, throwing those banana peels. Surely, and that some kind of went a little bit unpunished or very lenient of CAF dealing with that matter where Morocco is concerned. And still, the overall tournament was marked with what? Unfair match officiating, where Morocco got away with very questionable decisions, special match officials ruling in favor of Morocco from the last 16 right up until the final, of which I believe that was one of the reasons that triggered Senegal's walk off, because they felt Morocco have been favored from match one. Obviously, I believe one of the match that comes to mind is the Morocco versus Tanzania match, which started the whole drama with Norman. By the look of things, Morocco, they are favored by the match officials.
And let's not forget, they also Senegal scored a goal, a legitimate goal, which
By
is
Doyo.
disallowed in the final, by the way. So this is where maybe they were irritated by that as Senegalese. But then Morocco, yes, the likes of your Ibrahim Diaz, they did absolutely well for me. Hakimi Ibrahim, Ashraf, for me, they come to mind. They performed so well. But at some point, the referee had a say in some of their matches. The Tanzania one that you just mentioned as well. Even in the final, I wasn't pleased with the referee's decisions as well. But all in all, it was just a good tournament. But unfortunately, there was chaos at the end.
Still with this fiasco, surely straight after the champions were crowned, I believe Senegal, they were rewarded with their remuneration with regard to the being Africa Cup of Africa champions, so as the players, the medals and stuff. Now with this dramatic turn of events, where to from here?
Hey, very complicated because we also heard that the coach was suspended for the upcoming AFCON for 5 matches.
Yes, we had that.
I don't know how are they going to work on that because of it makes things very complicated. But let's wait and see in the upcoming AFCON. Will they be the suspended be withdrawn or what? So many things that are taking place, but hopefully they will want to defend that title at Morocco, Senegal. But I think the appeal will have a say as to what's going to happen going forward.
Oh, yes, we'll be watching this matter as it unfolds. And then, by the look of things, surely you can be rest assured that Senegal, they will appeal this appeal, because I believe this was
Definitely,
the appeal.
yes.
So, Senegal, surely they will appeal the ruling of this appeal. And do not be surprised should this matter go as far as to the even to the highest court in as far as sports is concerned. Surely this is not the last time we hear of this matter. Now, closer to home, Betway Premiership at the Ding Dong battle between the Mamelodi Sundowns and the Orlando Pirates continues, with the Mamelodi Sundowns now sitting at the summit. It looks like the more things that they change, the more they remain the same.
Definitely. So there are matches that took place over the weekend where I felt Orlando Pirates could have done better at home at the Orlando Amstel Arena against this Sbonelo, of which Sbonelo, they capitalized from one of their errors, Orlando Pirates errors, where their left back was Konandaba may give the ball away in the middle for Vincent Pule to collect the ball and then punish them. So they got plenty of chances at Pirates because 1-1 draw wasn't the true reflection of the game. They could have won heavily at Pirates because of one thing I picked up with Orlando Pirates is that they are creating plenty of chances, but then their main downfall, finishing, of which it can work against them as the title hopes, to keep that title hopes alive, to say goal difference will be key. Those missed chances will definitely disrupt your chances to win the title. Says the game ended 1-1 as Tepa Morems got the equalizer, and let's also credit the goalkeeper of Sbonelo, Ricardo Kos.
What a performance!
What
Yeah.
a performance! Some point blank safe to say Hugo Bruce, because Hugo Bruce was at the venue. I was also at the venue to go and witness really what is Orlando Pirates' title hopes are up to. I just want to see that. So he made some brilliant saves. To show Hugo Bruce, you can even call me. I'm ready for the upcoming World Cup. So as the game progressed, Pirates kept missing those chances. But then there's one thing that I didn't like with Orlando Pirates fans. They instead of supporting the coach, instead of supporting the players, they're busy throwing insults and threats, which you don't need that when you are campaigning for the championship title. So for me, they just need to continue supporting their coach, because of this is a coach who just brought them the MTN 8 as well as the Carling Knockout Cup. Throwing the insults like that is unacceptable because of the coach hasn't done badly. And by the way, let's not forget, it's his first season. So unlike what we saw with Jose Rivero, who struggled to win the same Carling knockout, they've just won against Maromo Gallants in December when they won 1-0. So I expect them to change their attitude and rally behind the team. Hopefully, they will do well. And then we also saw Mamelodi Sundowns thrashing Maromo Gallants 3-1, where I felt Teboho Mokoena had an outstanding game, scoring a brace. Immediately after Ndabacho Tandondo scored the equalizer, as there was an own goal from one of the players. You remember the former Kaizer Chiefs left back, Siposa Kentiantia. So he scored an own goal in that game. Then Sundowns managed to fight back and then won the game 3-1. And this is how they took them to top of the standings with 50 points. Orlando Pirates are currently on 48 points. So they need to, let's see, because of over the weekend, Orlando Pirates will be in action against TS Galaxy. And speaking of TS Galaxy, I'll also confirm the other fixtures that are taking place over the weekend. We also saw Kaizer Chiefs as well. Winning 1-0 against Durban City. Talk about a team getting back to winning ways, but then I felt like I watched Kaizer Chiefs, which are halving and puffing. You can see that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
That was a lucky win.
Like one makes a lucky win because they didn't create anything in that game. They
That
just
was a lucky win.
needed an individual brilliance of Georgie Lilepo. What a crack of a goal he scored there.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Gaston Serino when Kaizer Chiefs played against Richards Bay. The similar position from Fundo Villaga's supply, and then he unleashed no chance for goalkeeper Darren Keat. So in that instance, I will say the management must go back to the drawing board. They must make sure that this chopping on changing, because of I realize that they've gone back to winning ways. Should I say back to basics? Because there are some players who have been playing at the start of the season. They came back. Julian Solomos, Bradley Cross, Inacio Miguel, Sitaku Nika. They came back. They were solid. Because Durban City, for me, in that game, they offered nothing, although they were threatening at the end of the game. So with Kaizer Chiefs as well, you are playing as if there are no goalposts. You are a big team. You need to show your opponents that you are playing at home. You need to show the opponent that when we play at home, we should win matches. So those are some of the aspects I'll advise Cedric Kaze as well as Karin Ben Youssef to work on. So it wasn't pleasing because, the fans already are boycotting the two coaches to say they're not playing Kaizer Chiefs culture. Kaizer Chiefs in every game, they score one goal, which is unacceptable. So they need to improve up front. So failure to do that, I think we might see, because of weeks ago, the fans had to invade the Naturena village in complaint to say, we are submitting the memorandum. The two technical coaches must go. We are not happy with them. So can't you hire someone who knows the culture of Kaizer Chiefs? This is where you get somebody like Dr. Kumalu or Ace Kuze, previous coaches who are Farouk Khan to lead the team. But let's wait and see. It's topic for another day. But then Kaizer Chiefs, they needed that to win because of at some point I felt that they might be out of the top 8 if they keep getting those string of poor results.
You mentioned the Kaizer Chiefs huffing and puffing and not creating chances. They scored that individual brilliance goal from nowhere. While on the other side, the Orlando Pirates, they create chance after chance after chance. Just to go back to the Soweto derby, Orlando Pirates, they could have easily won that match about 6 goals if they converted their chances and if the referee was on point on the day. Orlando Pirates versus the Castric Stars in the Nedbank Cup, they dominated the whole game, but unfortunately they failed to convert their chances. Against the Mamelodi Sundowns at FNP Stadium, the first 45 minutes, Orlando Pirates dominated the proceedings. They failed to convert yet again. The previous weekend against Sbonelo, it was the same state of affairs. It was a wave after wave of attack. Orlando Pirates creating tens of chances, failing to convert yet again. Surely that zooms into the conversion rate of Orlando Pirates. So looking at their strikers, looking what they have in their arsenal, Is there any player that you feel actually should be given of an opportunity and shoulder Orlando Pirates and by converting those chances that they create? Because Orlando Pirates is not that they fail to create chances as compared to Kaizer Chiefs. Kaizer Chiefs, they don't create even any chances. They don't even take shots at goal. There's nothing happening with Kaizer Chiefs. While on the other side, on Pirates, it's wave after wave of attack. But come end of the 90 minutes, there's nothing to show for it, especially the conversion part.
Especially the conversion part. So I was questioning the coach Abdeslam decision of benching Evidence Mahopa ahead of playing Yanela Mputhuma ahead of Evidence Mahopa. And also, as we spoke of about the departure of Tsegofatso Mabasa, of which I felt
The
this as a
sniper.
player is a sniper. He's always in the kitchen. His conversion rate it's so good. So those are the two decisions for me. Why do you let the two players go? The issue also, Begazeli Mbogazi, the third issue to say, why do you release the player before the end of the season? Those are some of the aspects because of now you can see they're no longer keeping those clean sheets, they keep conceding goals. So even some of the coaches, they came in to say, Orlando Pirates might not win the league title. Putumi Hafi of Polokwane City, Ngcobo Mngqithi also. Eric Tintler also is one of them. I think about 4 coaches who mentioned the same, which means they are seeing that their lack of killer instinct in front
There
of
are
goals.
5 now. The Solele coach as well joined the Exodus over the weekend.
Yes. So,
Yes,
which
there are
means
5 now.
that's seeing this lack of killer instinct in front of goals will definitely hinder them from winning the title. But you check Mamelodi Sundowns in every game, they've been scoring 3 goals. Now they've gone 8 matches in the league, winning all the 8 matches, scoring 3 goals per match. You look at in that game, CAF Champions League game against Stade Malien, they scored 3. Against Marumo Gallants also, they scored 3. Previous week, they won 3-0 as well, if I remember so well. 3-1, yes, against Kukun United. Yes, against Orbit College, they scored 2 goals. One thing I picked up is that they score more goals in the second half, of which Orlando Pirates needs to work on that because of if you compare the two sides, Orlando Pirates create more chances than Mamelodi Sundowns. But the difference is
create
that
a lot of chances.
Mamelodi Sundowns are converting, Orlando Pirates are not converting. And they'll press you very hard. You are also with Apolis, Moremi, Releboya, but then
don't convert.
in the end, Kokala we should have scored. So you don't need that in a team that is competing for the league title.
Oh, yes, absolutely. For Orlando Pirates to push Mamelodi Sundowns down to the wire, they definitely need to bring on their scoring boots, which is something that they've been lacking in about 5-6 matches. They convert all the chances in the world, but the Orlando Pirates' conversion rate leaves a lot to be desired. Like my colleague Johannes Peta rightfully mentioned that the Orlando Pirates surely they must be regretting releasing one of their best strikers in the name and in the form and shape of Tsegofatso Mabasa, who had a great conversion rate. As far as I'm concerned, I've never seen Tsegofatso Mabasa failing Orlando Pirates, where he let Orlando Pirates down. So surely his departure or releasing him to Stellenbosch, surely it's got nothing to do with the performance. Maybe it boils down to personal issues, maybe between him and management or the technical team.
I'm thinking of maybe the player is not in plans with the coach. It's not in
But
coach's
the guy,
plans.
but he's a striker.
And he
His
scored in
primary
the
job is to
final.
score the goals, and he does that with ease. What more does he need to be in anyone's plan?
And the MTN8 comes to mind, the one that thrashed Stellenbosch 3-0. This is where he scored also a goal. Then you go and join Stellenbosch. You score in a debut match against Kukun United. I still remember at the new Peter Mokaba as they won 1-0 there. So you could see that the coach there made a blunder as well. So, but on that note, let's just give them the upcoming fixtures for the weekend. Polokwane City will host Amazulu at the new Peter Mokaba. This is the repeat of the Nedbank Cup where Amazulu knocked them out of the last 16 there. Then also Stellenbosch will welcome Chipa United. Chipa United, they'll also be looking to get back to anyways because of they haven't done well in the last few games there. Kevin Hunt having gone 6 matches without a loss, which is good. 3 wins, 3 draws. You can see Kaizer Chiefs as well were culprits of being beaten by the very same Stellenbosch, but also they are very former coach there. And Kaizer Chiefs will welcome Makesi at 6 o'clock. Makesi, they're fighting for their lives. Makesi, they will be looking into that game with keen interest to say we want to reduce the captaincy deficit that Orbit College and Marumo Gallets have just opened. And for Kaizer Chiefs, you need to continue where you left off, because as the management of Kaizer Chiefs, Kaizer Mountain Junior promised the fans that he needs to win this game for them in order to qualify for the CAF Confederations Cup. They've just taken the game from FNB to Moses Mabhida. So hopefully, because of Moses Mabhida is always full, the fans may come in numbers, but some of the fans are not happy. They say they're boycotting Kaizer Chiefs matches, and they will know more where the regalia until the management does take good decisions with regard to how the team structurally is playing, the technical team's future as well. So those are some of the situations that are letting them not do well. So on Sunday, we've got plenty of fixtures. Golden Arrows, Ngcobo Mngqithi to welcome Sekhukhune United at 3 o'clock as well. Sbonelo FC up against Orbit College. Battle for relegation as well, survival. TS Galaxy will welcome Orlando Pirates. This is where Orlando Pirates will need to overcome the 2 points that are led by Mamelodi Sundowns at the top, to say we can't drop points. Mamelodi Sundowns will be off action. So at least if you can take the match to 51 points, then Sundowns will be leading them by a point. So they're in a must-win situation. Although you check TS Galaxy as well, they've gone 6 matches without a victory, of which you question yourself to say, but they're doing well in the Nedbank Cup. They've just shocked the likes of your Mamelodi Sundowns, Jaxa Spears at that Solomon Mahlangu Stadium by 2-0 results. So they need to turn those victories in the Nedbank Cup into the Betway Premiership. And then with the other match taking place, the KZN Derby, Durban City will definitely welcome Richards Bay. Richards Bay, we've seen they've suffered 2 losses on the trot. And then you're playing Durban City, who also just lost to Kaizer Chiefs. So both sides are in a must-win situation, because Durban City will be challenging for the CAF Champion Confederations Cup spot, and then Richards Bay just to remove themselves outside the top 8 to try and push themselves into the top 8. That is Papi Zotwane up against the very same. They call him Piso Tladla, that's the head coach, because of Durban City have just parted with some few coaches. Stetemba Badela comes to mind, and Smith comes to mind, as well as Gavin Hunt.
Still with the Betway Premiership, especially one of that interesting part that I look at is the Kaizer Chiefs moving their fixture against Magesi FC to Moses Mabhida Stadium. That is KwaZulu Natal. I'm interested on the timing. Why timing? Considering that there is turmoil in the Kaizer Chiefs camp. Just go back to some years back, I can't remember, 5-6 years, when Steve Kompela was the head coach of Kaizer Chiefs. There was a turmoil in the Kaizer Chiefs camp. They played in KwaZulu Natal and Moses Mabhida Stadium. The timing, the atmosphere in the Kaizer Chiefs camp were more or less the same. They took that match to KZN, and we know what KZN fans did to the Kaizer Chiefs players and Kaizer Chiefs technical team led by Steve Kompela. Now, taking this game to KwaZulu Natal, while Kaizer Chiefs is in that same situation, while the relationship between the management players with the fans is at its lowest, don't you think we might get to see something bad happening this coming weekend, especially should Kaizer Chiefs go on and lose or not win or even a draw? I don't think the fans, they will accept the draw this coming weekend.
And it looks like that game may end in a draw. Put that in their file. So because you're playing, it's always difficult playing at teams that like what is called a low block. Marcus will definitely approach the game on a low block. Will definitely be cautious to say if you can get a goal, at least we'll trouble Kaizer Chiefs, because of Chiefs are not scoring. It's only one goal or they don't score. So Elvis Chipazasa will definitely be impact player. I don't know. Bruce Voma obviously will continue because of Brendan Peterson. I think they're resting him until the international break. Hopefully, will come back after the international break. When you talk about the season where they were coached by Steve Kompela, that was around 2019 there, where they played the Nedbank Cup semi-final and they lost to Free State Stars by 2-0. This is where vandalism took place from the fans, breaking some of the
one security guy lost his life.
Techniques and security guy lost his life. Some of the securities were brutalized, and there was too much bad behavior there, which I didn't like as well. So also it's a risk as well. So they could have stuck with FNB Stadium. Maybe they're saying let's just take the game to the fans, because Moses Chiefs has got a large number of fans at the Moses Mabhida, but they need to make sure that in that game they collect a positive victory. Although I foresee a draw, but let's come and back and dissect the action how it would have panned out, because of if you go last season, they drew with the same mark as a 2-all. At some point, they missed chances in the second round at the same FNB. They won 1-0. They needed an individual brilliance of Ashley Dupree to score, and Ashley Dupree currently is not doing well. He lacks what is called confidence when I watch at the player. But then to take the game there, it's a risk as well.
Oh, yes. Let's hope we will not be the prophets of dooms in this time around. Let's hope Kaizer Chiefs, for their sake, they will get the positive results, and the fans bring on their best behavior come that match. Kaizer Chiefs against Magesi FC down in KwaZulu-Natal at Moses Mabhida Stadium. Now, moving away from domestic football straight to inter-club competition, there is a CAF Champions League. What's going on in that part of the world?
There were some first leg results that took place over the weekend, where we saw Mamelodi Sundowns continue putting the South African flag very high as they thrashed what is called Stade Malien 3-0 from Mali 3-0. And where I felt it was going to be a tough game, because Stade Malien, if you check their group where they were campaigning with the likes of your Esperance, your Simba, they finished top of the standings, and they were just a threat going to play Mamelodi Sundowns. But Mamelodi Sundowns were clever. They scored the 3 goals courtesy of Kulisomo Dau, Brian Leon, as well as Ihram Reyes. And what I like in that game is that the 3 goals have to be revisited at the VAR. Fortunately, Mamelodi Sundowns, the goals were legitimate, and this is how they grabbed that 3 goals cushion to say, we're going to the second leg. Hopefully, we'll just come back with a goalless. Although the coach of Stade Malien promised that Mamelodi Sundowns will not come back at their very own background in Mali, of which I don't see it happening, because of Mamelodi Sundowns have been in this situation before. They always score goals and make sure that when they go away, they come up with a draw. So it's going to be an interesting second leg with the other results that took place as well. AS draw 1-1 with the defending champions Pyramids. I never saw this one coming. This is Nasreddin Nabi, the former Kaizer Chiefs former team. And then there's RS Berkane, the last CAF Confederations Cup champions. Currently, they are in the CAF Champions League. Also, draw 1-1 with Al Hilal. This is Al Hilal from Sudan, which played Mamelodi Sundowns in the group stages. So, for me, Al Hilal, they've got the away goal cushion. Pyramids have got away goal cushion. If they get to play goalless in their second leg matches, definitely they will progress. And the other fixture that took place, Esperance taking a 1-lead advantage against Al Ahly, which means they will be going to Cairo this coming weekend. Aggregate will be key. Away goal rule as well will apply.
Are trailing that match.
Are trailing that match 1-0. So the fixtures that are taking place on Saturday, we've got Pyramids up against AS at 6 o'clock kickoff. Later on at 9 o'clock, Al Ahly will welcome Experience in Cairo, and Al Hilal will definitely welcome RS Berkane on Sunday afternoon 6 o'clock, and then later on at 6 o'clock as well, Stade Malien will welcome Mamelodi Sundowns. But I still think Mamelodi Sundowns will definitely progress to the semi-finals.
Still with the CAF Champions League interclub competition, one of the big talking points coming up this week, as far as North Africa is concerned, is the breaking news of the former Mamelodi Sundowns head coach in the formanship of Rulani Mokoena, reported to be arrested. Is he arrested? Found in possession of what he transgressed the Algerian foreign currency rules. What is the story regarding Roland Mokoena? Is he behind bars? Is he in Libya, or is he still in Algeria?
It's very interesting, because when I tried to follow the story, the coach is doing absolutely well at MC Alger. Having taken them top of the standings, having won to the Algerian Super Cup, the trophies already. So at some point I felt, why do you dismiss the coach who just brought you a trophy, who's top of the standings? Because of the only downfall for him was losing in the group stages of the CAF Champions League, yes. So then there were instances that it started as a rumor to say Al Ittihad Tripoli in Libya, they're interested in his services. And by the way, speaking of Al Ittihad in Libya, they've just acquired the services of Thembinkosi Lodge, the former Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns. And we all know how Rulani is so fond of the very same player, Thembinkosi Lodge.
He's the one that took him to North Africa anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So then I checked the stats. I realized, the coach has just coached 34 matches, Rulani. But from those 34 matches at MC Alger, he's won 20, he's drawn 8, he's only lost 6 matches. You can see that it's a wonderful stat. He's doing absolutely well. So now we've just got the breaking news that Al Ahly Tripoli Al Ittihad Tripoli have just acquired his services as the head coach, which meaning he's just reunited with the player Thembinkosi Lodge. So
Again.
for that, Mulungisi Rulana Mokoena is good luck for him. But then I don't like his stats because every way he coaches, it doesn't last. It's either he's always dismissed or resigning with immediate effect. But on this one, I think it has to do with a better offer. So unlike when he was at Orlando Pirates, Chippa United, where he was act, but so far so good. And I've just seen that he's also grabbed some of the coaches that he's worked with. Remember the former Mamelodi Sundowns goalkeeper coach Wendell Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
We've just heard that it's Netemba Padela as well, who just parted ways recently with
Durban
Durban City.
City.
He's going also to join Rulani. This is the same coach who was also part of the DDC at Mamelodi Sundowns. They've worked together. You can see that whenever tactically you analyze Netemba Padela, similar style of play, like Rulani Mokwena's his nickname Pep Guardiola, doing absolutely well tactically. I don't know why Durban City let go of him because already he just brought a different dimension for Durban City to play quality football. So those are some of the technical team that will be working hand in hand with Rulani at Al Ittihad Tripoli in Libya. So good luck to him going forward.
But before you say, yeah, good luck to him, but I believe he was arrested this week again. Go Algeria.
Oh.
I can confirm that he was arrested Monday evening. He was about to leave. He was at the airport. He was about to leave Algeria, leaving for his new job, go Libya.
Okay.
And then it was reported that he was found in possession of money amounting to $15,000. If you convert it to rands, it comes up to 250,000 rands in South African rands. I believe the law of Algeria, you are not allowed to be in possession of such cash. The maximum is 7,500 US dollars, which is half of that, which is, if you turn it into rands, I believe 250,000 divided by 2. So he had double the amount in his possession. Then they said, hey, Poiki,
Okay.
Then they arrested him. He was arrested on Monday. They said, boy, you have broken the laws of the country in as far as foreign currency is concerned. But then lucky for him, he was fined, and then they gave him a suspended sentence of 12 months. So he shouldn't transgress in as far as Algeria's foreign currency is concerned. So any transgression from him with regard to foreign currency, that will automatically see him thrown straight in jail. So that's the situation. But there were possibilities and questioning that how valid is that? Was he planted by his former employers? Maybe because surely
I
the
think so,
relationship was not of the best. His former employers, MC Alger, they were against him resigning, leaving for Algeria. So there is that possibility that he was planted by his former employers. They deliberately did that. They gave him that cash, knowing very well that they will set a trap with the Algerian authorities were thrown to, and that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Then eventually he got away with it. He got that 12 months suspension. That is what things are standing as far as Rulani Mokoena and being a jailbait is a concern. Now, moving away from Inter-Club, but still in Africa, but this time around, let's go straight to West Africa and dive straight to Ghana Premier League, where Modiba, they're still sitting at the top, regardless of their 1-0 loss, and with Bibiane breathing down their neck, just trailing Modiba with just one slender point.
Well, just one slender point. And by the way, the very same Bibiani, they are the defending champions, and Modiba, they're doing absolutely well. So, but let's check this coming weekend, how will they pan up in their fixtures, because of already the teams, they have played 25 matches with 9 matches to go to wrap up the season. So with the upcoming fixtures, 11 Wonders will definitely play against Summertex at 5 o'clock. Hearts of Lions up against Hearts of Oak, the Battle of Heart there at 5 o'clock as well. And then on Sunday, we've got the Berakum Chelsea up against Karela at 5 o'clock. Asante Kotoko, remember they used to invade South Africa in the Vodacom Challenge as well. The 20-time champions, by the way, against the Nations at 5 o'clock. That's Asante Kotoko. Yes, their next oppositions will be the Nations on Sunday afternoon. Basake Holy Stars up against Young Apostles. Then Beshem United up against Aduana Football Club. those games, all of them will kick off simultaneously at 5 o'clock. Then there's also Bibiani. All Stars will look to stretch the lead at the top to 49 points if they get to collect a victory against the Vision. And then there's also Dreams up against Mediama. Mediama will be traveling again away to the Dreams. Hopefully they will get points there. And lastly, Cedro All Blacks will be looking to survive the chop at the bottom there. They will be playing against Huhue United. Speaking of that particular, Hearts of Oak is currently fourth on the standings, trailing the very same Madiama by 5 points. I think mathematically they're still in with a chance to win the league title because of they are the ones with the most number of records. 25 league titles are Hearts of Oak. This is the former Ernst Middendorp's club as well, because Ernst Middendorp coached both the two teams in Ghana. I still remember for Kaizer Chiefs to get to know him, they took him back to Asante Kotoko and also Hearts of Oak as well, doing well and performing well in the Vodacom Challenge, although he lost on penalties against Kaizer Chiefs during that time. So Central All Blacks, they're fighting for relegation number 16 with 28 points, followed by Beckerum Chelsea with 18 points, and the number 18 there is 11 Wonders with 9 points. I think automatically 2 teams will be relegated, but let's wait and see. We'll bring the results when we come back, and so far it looks interesting. Will it be Bibiani or will it be Madiama? Time will tell.
Yes, by the look of things, if you were to ask me, I would say I think Mediama, they might choke. I mean, they played at home their last game. They lost at home.
Yes.
Against the 14th placed team, United. I think it's United, if I'm not mistaken. The 14th placed team, Mediama, they lost at home. At home. This weekend, they're playing the 12th placed Dreams on the road. So you are contesting for the league. You are sitting at the top. You lose to the 14th place team at home, Nogala. If you are on the road, surely the chances are slim for Mediam to collect maximum points. So I think maybe Pipiana, they might topple Medium. So that's my prediction, but we'll be watching the space with a keen interest. But I don't see Medium sustaining that pressure by the look of things. If you lose games at home and you are sitting at the top, that's the sign of running out of steam by the look of things. Now we're from Africa straight to Europe. What a better place to start looking at European football other than looking at the European Champions League. Oh boy, things are happening in as far as the European Champions League is concerned. Arsenal, their dream of the quadruple continues because they're still very much in the Champions League. This coming weekend, they will be taking on Manchester City in the League Cup, also known as Carabao Cup. They're still in the FA Cup final. Did I mention they're still with a chance of winning the English Premier League? Should they go on and win all those trophies, that will definitely make their dream of the quadruple a reality. But rest assured, they will be tested at this coming weekend, the 22nd of March, against the second place, the Manchester City. But still, with the Champions League, we remember that Arsenal last week they played to a 1-0 draw against the German Giants in the foremanship of Leverkusen, thanks to that penalty that they got with just 90 minutes to go. But this time around, last night they showed Bosso Kimang when they welcome the German Giants. I believe they went on and beat them by 2-0 at home. In so doing, there was enough for Arsenal to secure their space in the next round. And another talking point, the talking point was the 15 times Champions League winners Real Madrid when they visited Manchester City at Etihad Stadium, where Real Madrid, they were leading that encounter with first leg results 3-0. The big question was, were Manchester City going to overhaul that scoreline? By the look of things, it definitely wasn't to be. Real Madrid went on to win that encounter by 2-1, making it an aggregate of, listen to this, 5-1. That's humiliating indeed in as far as Manchester City are concerned. Even looking at their body language, about Haaland, their body language, said one thing and one thing only, which we are defeated. So Manchester United,
The
basically,
former champions,
Manchester
by the
City,
way.
yes, they just lied down and let Los Blancos run all over them. Another talking point, another big match that got everyone's attention was what is it? The FIFA Club World Cup champions, Chelsea, when they hosted the current European Champions League champions in the form and shape of PSG,
See.
where PSG they were leading the first encounter, if I'm not mistaken, by five two,
5-2,
and
yes.
then it was a big question: was Chelsea the FIFA Club World Cup champions? Were they going to overhaul that scoreline?
Yep.
That was the big question, but it wasn't to be the European champions. They proved very strong for the FIFA World Cup champions Chelsea when they beat them, if I'm not mistaken,
8-2.
by 3-0,
3-0,
making the aggregate a
8-2.
whopping 8-2. That is a humiliation and a half. Surely, Chelsea, they learned that their lesson that never try to mess with the European champions. That is a PSG. Yes, they might be the FIFA Club World Cup champions, but that's where it ends. There are only one European champions by the look of things, and that is a PSG. So the talking point as far as the 2026 Champions League is concerned, if one were to look at the current PSG's form, one has to be very worried that maybe, just maybe, they might just go on and defend their trophy. Yes, the likes of your Real Madrid, who had won the Champions League for the record 15 times, surely they will make it very difficult for the French champions. And Kylian Mbappe, surely he will feel very cursed indeed should Real Madrid do not win the Champions League this season again. Because remember that one of the reasons that influenced his move from PSG was to get a chance to win the Champions League with Real Madrid. But surprise, since he left the PSG, all of a sudden, whom never won the PSG, would never won the Champions League
Yeah.
in their history, the moment Kylian Mbappe left them, for Real Madrid, PSG won the Champions League. Which showed a little bit with Kylian Mbappe is a little bit cursed, which remind me of which was the same discussion with Tico Modisa here in South Africa,
Yes.
where every time he
joins the team.
joins the team
doesn't win a cup title.
Doesn't win the cup title. So, but that's a topic for another day. But for Mbappe's sake, we hope Real Madrid they will go on and win a Champions League this time around. But looking at Arsenal, PSG, it is gonna be a tough indeed.
It's going to be a tough indeed. But then at least Arsenal are the last hope in the EPL to say, okay, Man City, they've won it before. I still remember when they won 1-0 in that final. But Arsenal at least are doing well. Man City have been struggling. It's been blowing hot and cold. That's why they find themselves third in the standings in the EPL. So our another hope as well would be Liverpool. Maybe Liverpool can do well in the next match of the UEFA Champions League. Let's wait and see
That's
as
trailing
well.
1-0 against the Turkish team in Galatasaray.
Galatasaray.
Fine, they're playing at home about Victor Osimhen and stuff, but it's not going to be easy at all.
Nope.
And still with Liverpool, now if we're to move away from Champions League and then we go look at the English Premier League,
Yes.
what went down over the weekend.
Yep.
Their body language, they were just walking at Anfield and surprise, they played to a 1-1 draw against one of the most struggling teams in as far as the English Premier League is concerned. That is the Tottenham Hotspur.
And also the coach there is skating on thin ice. Who got to do the Tottenham Hotspur to head coach. And Liverpool, they need to do better because they are the defending champions. But by the looks of things, already out of the title race. So I think they had a poor season by their standards. So they should have came there, be aggressive, stubborn, like we saw during the last season. And on that note, with the other result that took place, Sunderland lost 1-0 against Brighton, and Burnley drew goalless with Bournemouth. And then Chelsea lost 1-0 against Newcastle. Arsenal winning 2-0 against Everton. West Ham playing 1-0 draw against Man City. Nottingham Forest playing goalless draw against Fulham. I was disappointed with Man City to say you need to close the gap deficit that is stretched by Arsenal. But they were unable to do that as Arsenal also collected the victory against Everton. And then also Man United winning a 3-1 against Aston Villa. Like I've said it before, that it was just a top of the battle slash number 3 up against number 4. So also Crystal Palace playing goalless against Leeds United. And then lastly Liverpool playing 1-1 draw against Tottenham Hotspur, of which was so disappointing to see Liverpool as defending champions continue struggling. inconsistent, which has been the element of the case this current season. But so far, I think Arsenal are going to win this title by the looks of things. 7 games to go, 9 points lead. I think the only team that can stop them is them, Arsenal themselves.
Oh, yes, that's how things are standing as far as the English Premier League is concerned. Yes, Manchester City, they stumbled over the weekend when they drew a 1-all against the struggling Spurs, while the current table toppers in the form and shape of Arsenal, the mighty Gunners, they flourished when they collected maximum points against Everton. Still with that Arsenal versus Everton match, one of the talking points in as far as that encounter is concerned is the record that was set on that match when the youngster, 16 years old, 75 days, Max Doman, scored that last touch goal in that match, becoming the youngest player in as far as the English Premier League to score a goal. What a great time to be alive in as far as Max Doman is concerned, considering that he is just 16 years old and Arsenal, they haven't won the league for about 21 years, meaning the last time Arsenal won the league, Max Doman was not yet born.
Yes.
Fast forward to 2026, he might just be the reason Arsenal eventually lift the English Premier League with that vital goal he scored against Everton.
The future looks bright, and hopefully Arsenal will take him to the promised land to say, as he's still young, he'll definitely gain experience from the experienced players within the club. So hopefully they'll do well.
Oh, yes, for Arsenal's sake, for especially us, the neutrals, we hope for their sake, they'll get over the line this time around and lift that English Premier League, which has been eluding them for a couple of years, about 20 years. But the painful years have been the past 3 seasons where Arsenal had always been bridesmaids in as far as the English Premier League is concerned, always coming second best, whether it's Manchester City or Liverpool lifting the trophy. But by the look of things, that win against Everton might just prove to be very, very crucial in as far as their campaign and hopes of lifting the 2025-2026 English Premier League is concerned. Still in Europe, but now moving away from the English Premier League and dive straight to Spanish football. You and I know it as La Liga. Barcelona, Real Madrid, ding dong battle continues.
Definitely. I think what is key for them is that the two teams managed to collect victories, that is Barcelona and Real Madrid. But you could tell that with the 28 matches that are played, 10 matches left to wrap up the season. So 3 points will definitely be very important for both of them. But currently, Barcelona do stand a chance. So with the results, they managed to play against Sevilla and thrash them 5-2, whereas Real Madrid played against Elche and they won 4-1. So those are the results. And I'm checking at the likes of Atletico Madrid managing a solitary victory, 1-0 against Villarreal. So those are some of the results to say we need to do well going forward. So and on that note, with fixtures taking place this coming weekend, Elche will welcome Real Mallorca at 1 o'clock. That will be on Saturday afternoon. And then at 3 o'clock, there's also Espanyol up against Getafe. At 3:15 later on, at 5:15, Levante up against Oviedo. And Osasuna will definitely welcome Girona at 5:30. And then the last game of the day on Saturday, Sevilla up against Valencia. That will be at 8 o'clock. Then on Sunday, we've got Barcelona up against Rayo Vallecano at 1 o'clock, Celta Vigo up against Alaves at 3:15, Athletic Club up against Real Betis at 17:30, that is up past 5, and Real Madrid up against Atletico Madrid. This seems to be a Real Madrid derby. It's a derby for Madrid. So let's wait and see if they'll try to capitalize at the top of the standings. Currently, Barcelona are top of the standings with 70 points, followed by Real Madrid with 66 points. It's just only 4 points gap. So, but the games are level. So I think this one is going down to the wire.
Definitely going down to the wire. That's how things are standing as far as the Spanish football is concerned, and that you and I know it as La Liga. Now, moving away from Spain straight to Italy, where two Milan teams seem to be in contention of the 2025-2026 Serie A championship is concerned. Inter Milan, they are comfortable sitting at the summit with a whopping 8 points lead. They've got 68 points, while they are across town rivals in the formanship of AC Milan. They've got 60 points. At number 3, we do have the defending champions in the formanship of Napoli with 59 points, trailing the current table toppers in the formanship of Inter Milan with 9 points. Looking at the previous 2 games, yes, the current table toppers Inter Milan, they've from the possible 6 points, they've only collected 1 point. They lost against AC Milan and 1-0 in that San Siro derby, and then this previous weekend they drew 1-all, meaning that they only collected 1 point out of the 6 possible points. But be that as it may, they're still sitting comfortable with a 8 points lead, rather, not 5 points, with a whopping 8 points lead. Let's hope Inter Milan, they'll get back to winning ways this weekend and get to collect maximum points, which will give them more chances of going on to lift the Serie A for the 21st time, which will ensure that they remain second in as far as Serie A wins is concerned. Because remember that Juventus are holding that record with 36 wins. That's how many? That's the number of times that Juventus had won the Italian league. That is Serie A. They are across town rivals in the formanship of AC Milan. They've done this 19 times. Now, moving away from football and dive straight to cricket, the much awaited Proteas, or South Africa's invasion of New Zealand, with both female and male Proteas, finally took the center stage. It got underway on Sunday with the male side taking on against their male counterparts, and South African Proteas doing business against their female New Zealand counterparts.
I think one may call this a double header. Where our usual Proteas
and a record in the making. This had never been done before.
Definitely,
where both female and male Proteas tour one country at the same time, and all the games scheduled to play same day.
Definitely, and I take those matches as grudge matches, because we just remember what they've just did to us in the T20 World Cup, New Zealand from the semi-finals, and then you go to 2024 as well. The same New Zealand from the women, they also knocked out our very own Proteas women before they lost to India in the next coming session that took place recently, the World Cup for the ODI for the women as well. So in that games, we won the first match there by 7 wickets against India, and then that was on Sunday, as you rightfully mentioned. Then we met again, where I think there was only one change that we made by the coach, Vian Mulder coming off. And on that note, Jordan Herman was the player to replace Vian Mulder there. So on that note, we managed to try hard. We posted at 107, which it wasn't enough. We fell short because already New Zealand managed to bat. I think they learned the lesson from the World Cup. Then they posted 175 for 7 after 20 overs. So on that note, they were crowned winners by 49 balls to say 68 runs. In fact,
68 runs.
68 runs
that's,
to say
that's a thrashing.
That's a thrashing on its own, to say we are leveling the score 1-1. Let's see this coming Friday, because it is the third T20 match that will be taking place. Hopefully South Africa can take the lead, and hopefully our players will refresh well and also win that match, because we really need it going forward. And then on the similar story with our very own Proteas women, currently the scoreline is deadlocked at 1-1, as they also New Zealand won the first match. We came and won the second match. Hopefully we'll carry the momentum come this Friday and then do well going forward.
Oh yes, let's hope the Proteas, they know exactly what they need to do. They have to try and force the matters and get that 2-1 lead from both sides. That is a female and male Proteas. Now, moving away from cricket and dive straight to rugby, and zoom and dive straight to six nations, of which the curtain eventually came down this previous weekend, with France defending their trophy successfully. So
under tough conditions because of the oppositions they were going to face, that is England. gave them a tough run for their money, and the game ended up ending 48-46 points, and this is how they were crowned champions. And then with the other results of the very same Six Nations, the Wales finally, as you've been speaking, that they've played 24 to 25 games without collecting a victory. This time around, they were winners on the day as they
After
toppled.
3 years.
After 3 years, they toppled Italy by 31 points to 17. I'm like, hey, what was, where was this performance all along? They could have done better at the start of the tournament, but they came and do it on the last day just to say, let's play for pride of the country, at least get 4 to 5 points, and then let's see going forward. But then on the day, they managed to come up rampant and won 31-17 against the Italians. And then the Irish as well won 43-21 against Scotland. At some point, Scotland were doing well, thrashing France, thrashing England. But on the suddenly, they lost it in the last match. So on that note, France were defending champions for the third time on the trot after 5 consecutive participation. And on that note, top of the standings with 21 points, followed by Ireland with 19 points. Ireland fell short. They were just trailing them by 2 points. As runners-up, Scotland number 3 with 16 points, Italy number 4 with 9 points, and then England number 5 with 8 points. And lastly, the very same Wales, they've turned that 1 point into 6 points. So all in all, congratulations are in order with France, as they've been doing ever so well with the likes of your and 20 point fantastic during that particular Six Nations. I wish South Africa would have been there as well, but they're not part of this Six Nations.
Six Nations,
yes. So, but so far it was just an interesting one.
Now let them play their Six Nations. We've got our own Sons Trophy champions rugby to deal with the likes of your New Zealand, Australia, and Argentina to deal with. Yes, congratulations are in order indeed for Le Bleu. There is a France Rugby Union who has successfully defended their trophy, and job well done indeed to Wales, who eventually got to winning ways after 36 months. That makes it 3 years. But be that as it may, they still got their wooden spoon. They are rooted at the bottom. I mean, as far as 2026 Six Nations is concerned. Now, moving away from rugby and dive straight to Formula One Grand Prix. I believe we are on a second round. That was a China GP, and things did not look right in as far as the usual champions are concerned.
And very true, because we expected the McLaren guy, that is Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, to pitch up because they had a stellar of a season last season. And then currently, the young Kimi Antonelli has been impressive because...
From nowhere.
If you go back to Australian Open, where he arrived second in those tough, after George Russell was the winner, and Charles Leclerc as well doing well for Ferrari. So it was just impressive. You come back in the Chinese Grand Prix, you come and win the race. Where was the likes of your Max Verstappen? But let's also give credit to Lewis Hamilton. I've been criticizing the driver to say you have just jumped from Mercedes to Ferrari. You're not doing well, but currently, at least with 105 titles and 7 times champions, you need to show it that you didn't win those titles by fluke. But on the day, he arrived second, and George Russell, I should say third, because George Russell arrived second as he was the winner during the Australian Open. But I asked myself, where is George Russell? Should I say Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, Max Verstappen? Max Verstappen so far hasn't had a good start, so Isaac Hajar, his teammate, at least is trying to raise his hand, but not enough. He still wants the hand to go way up. So there's still room for improvement. Let's see, because of, you just mentioned that they're going to play in Japan Grand Prix this coming weekend. And speaking of that, let's also check the motorsport. Motorsport will be back in action starting from this weekend. The MotoGP is back this current season. So let's see if the likes of your Marco Bezzecchi, Francisco Bagnaia will definitely do well. So I can't wait. At least it will give competitions to say there are fans for F1 motor racing. There are also fans for the motorsport. So those are some of the actions that are taking place there. But I still want to see the McLaren under motor racing. McLaren, Lando Norris, as well as the Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri doing so well.
As we wrap our today's episode, let's wrap things up by looking at what's happening as far as tennis is concerned. There is Indian Wells. I believe the second place, the Yannick Sinner, finally had something to smile about, and Sabalenka is at it again.
And it's so funny because of the two lads, they lost. Sabalenka from the women's side, she lost in the final of the Australian Open, the most prestigious competition of which we expect a player of a caliber to perform so well. Yannick Sinner as well. He was shocked, remember, by Novak Djokovic,
In the
of which
semis.
in the semis of the Australian Open, and we expected to Novak Djokovic, you've got 24 Grand Slams. You should get at least 225. But on the day, it didn't happen. But on the day during the Indian Wells, I think he redeemed himself because Carlos Alcaraz, he didn't do well, although he's been having a good year so far, winning the Australian Open, which is a good record so far for him, as he also tops the rankings of the men's category. So Arena Sabalenka as well topping the standings for the women's category. I think it was a redemption for him, as she won against Elena Rybakina, Arena Sabalenka on 3 sets, and then also the Yannick Sinner winning against Daniil Medvedev. It was just impressive on 2 quick sets to say, I've got experience, I've done it before. This is my time to redeem themselves. So on that note, it's well done to them, and let's see going forward, because there's still the likes of Roland Garros. As we know, we are approaching winter. Wimbledon is also on the horizon in the next coming a month or two. So hopefully they will be ready by that time. With also Novak Djokovic, we expect him to improve, just to show us that he didn't get those 24 Grand Slams by fluke, but because of age as well taking it toll. As he's turning 39 this year, hopefully he will improve. But things are really hotting up as far as tennis is concerned.
Oh, yes, still with the Novak Djokovic. There's another interesting part as far as Djokovic is concerned. I believe the next tournament is the Miami Open. The interesting part is that Novak Djokovic is at it again. He has I don't know how genuine his injury is. He said, no, he's going to sit out the Miami Open because he's got a shoulder injury. Then I just said, oh boy, Novak
Typical of him.
Djokovic is at it again. He's faking his injuries.
Yes.
Obviously, he's saving himself for the French Open, the Roland Garros, of which is the Grand Slam. That's the big one. So surely he's just managing his workload. Personally, I don't buy the injury story. I strongly believe that he's just managing his workload, and especially with the age not being on his side. Definitely, it is the right thing to do to manage his workload, because the Grand Slam, when the French Open, Roland Garros comes, his body might have that element of fatigue. So he has to manage his workload. So I was not surprised there when the news broke out that Novak Djokovic will sit out at Miami Open. I just said, oh, here we go again. Novak Djokovic, he does what he does best, faking or staging those injuries. On that note, that's how we come to an end of our today's episode. If you liked today's episode, please do not forget to do the honorable thing: subscribe, like, comment, and even better, share this episode. Like they always say, the more the merrier.
Indeed, and to the rugby fans, especially the United Rugby Championship, there are matches taking place. Let's see if the likes of your Leinster, as they've been piling at the pressure at the top of the URC standings, will definitely do well. We've got Vodacom Bulls against Cardiff, and speaking of Vodacom Bulls, they just suffered a home loss against Thomas last weekend, which it wasn't pleasing, as Thomas thrashed them by 32 points to 19. So we've got the Scarlets up against the Zebri. Also, the Ulster up against the Connacht. The matches will take place this coming Friday. Then on Saturday, there's Lions up against Edinburgh at 2:45. And there's also Hollywood Best Sharks up against the Munster, the former champions as well. Then Benetton will welcome the Ospreys. And then also Glasgow Warriors up against the Leinster on Sunday. Only one fixture is taking place. The Stormers up against the Dragons at 3 o'clock. Hopefully, as they've just recorded a victory, getting back to winning ways, they'll try and cover the points at the top, as they're currently trailing Glasgow Warriors by 4 points. Glasgow Warriors top of the standings on the summit by 45 points, and Stormers by 41 points. So with that being said, the name still remains Johannes Peta, and we'll talk again next weekend.
Oh yes, let's do this once again on the next episode. Till then, it is
Bye-bye.